Well, hello, Scrappers. Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. And this is kind of a viewer request special. A little while back, I was doing a video running my rotisserie depopulator, and I was talking just, as I tend to ramble on at the mouth in my videos, about how some of my friends and family think that I'm going to set fire to the place or blow things up with some of the stuff I do. And I'm like, what do you think I'm running over here? The Explosions and Fire channel or what? I made kind of an offhand remark about, would you guys like to know what my favorite YouTube channels are? Which channels do I watch regularly? Let me know, and I'll put together a quick video on it. So the response was pretty good. People want to know what I watch. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at some of the channels that I watch regularly or semi-regularly or irregularly, because I'm busy making my own videos. So, I'm way behind on watching the content from a lot of these channels. So you guys may be more up on some of them than I am. And some of them I haven't watched a lot lately, but in the past I've learned a lot from. So that's why they're included, even though some of them I haven't watched lately. Some of them even haven't put out videos in quite a while. I'm not sure what happened to some of these folks. But anyway, they're going to be presented in different categories. Chemistry, which is going to be divided into general chemistry and precious metals recovery chemistry. Mining, which is a big endeavor of mine. Machining, and scrapping. So I think you'll find these interesting. You're probably already well aware of most of these channels and watch them yourself, but maybe you'll find something you haven't seen before, something new and interesting to you. Now, these are going to be presented in no particular order. So the order that they're in doesn't indicate how important I find them to be or useful I find them to be. And if your favorite channel or your channel got left out, sorry. Videos can only be so long, and I can only talk about so many of them. I got to get back to work. I got an extraction going on over here, and stuff going on over there, and stuff going on in here. So this is only going to be so long. So anyway, let's get started. I hope you find this interesting, and I hope you find some new channels to watch and some new people to learn from. So why chemistry videos? Well, I hadn't had any actual chemistry since high school. I was in a fairly advanced chemistry class in high school, but I hadn't really used chemistry much since high school until about my mid-20s, early 30s. I got into high-power amateur rocketry for about a decade and was making rocket fuel and stuff. I relearned enough chemistry to really be dangerous. We used to go out to the middle of the Black Rock Desert and fire off our really big rockets out there. This was long before the Burning Man people discovered the place. So my little bit of chemistry knowledge helped me out there. But later, when I got into e-waste recycling and gold recovery from stuff like this, well, I needed a little bit more specialized chemistry info. So I started watching different YouTubers. So this chemistry section is kind of divided up into two groups. There's sort of general chemistry, and then there's chemistry that's more aimed towards this stuff and getting the gold and silver out of it. So let's look at some of the YouTubers I have watched or still do watch from time to time to learn techniques for processing this stuff.
Welcome back to another gosh darn episode of Explosions and Fire. How you doing?
So this is Explosions and Fire. This is the channel that I mentioned in that previous video that started a whole ball rolling on people wanting to know which YouTubers I watch. And yes, this is one channel that I've watched in the past. And I watch occasionally now. Tom doesn't put out quite as many videos on this as he used to. It's kind of a complicated story here. But Tom here is a chemistry major. And he has a special fascination with explosives and manufacturing them and testing them out. and thermites and all kinds of other things. And basically, he blows stuff up and sets stuff on fire. Hence the name of the channel, Explosions and Fire. Now, I like to look at it as Tom is doing this stuff so I don't have to. I can watch his channel and see what happens and keep myself safe and out of trouble with the authorities and with my wife and anybody else. He's doing it so I don't have to. And it's very entertaining. His style is very, very entertaining. Now, he has another channel called Extractions and Ire. And here's Extractions and Ire. And as I understand it, YouTube banned Explosions and Fire for a while. So Tom started this Extractions and Ire channel and doing a lot of non-explosive and fiery stuff on it because he is a chemistry major and he's always trying to do some sort of oddball organic synthesis. He spent 2 years trying to make cubane, which I have no use for cubane, but watching him attempt to do this was just fascinating to me. Okay, just fascinating. Watched the whole cubane series. I've watched most everything he has done. Yeah, his style is just great. His methods, and you might notice a bit of a theme with some of these videos as we go through them. He doesn't have a lot of expensive equipment on the whole. He has a few nice things, okay? And every once in a while he can borrow something nice or send stuff off to someone who has some high-end equipment to run some tests for him. But on the whole, he's working on a shoestring budget with easy-to-come-by equipment and chemicals. And this is kind of going to be kind of a theme with most, not all, but most of the videos, most of the channels that I'm going to show you, because that's kind of the way I do things too. Kind of low budget, DIY, you know, that kind of thing. And Tom exemplifies this in most of what he's doing. So anyway, his channel is hilarious. There's a little bit of bad language. If that's going to put you off, just be warned. But it's hilarious. His presentation style is hilarious. But you'll learn a whole lot from him, especially about organic synthesis, which, like I said, I have no use for. I'm really doing inorganic chemistry over here. But still, it's fascinating and it's a whole lot of fun to watch. Both of his channels. So check them out.
About 2 years ago, I became convinced that there was a way to turn cotton balls into edible and hopefully tasty cotton candy. At first, this idea seemed a bit ridiculous, but I knew that it should have been possible. This is because cotton...
Next in the general chemistry category, we have Nile Red. And Nile Red probably needs no introduction to any of you folks, okay? He has a godzillion videos out there on all kinds of chemistry subjects. And he's a little bit more upscale than some of these. I said most of these will have the theme of being low budget and a lot of DIY and a lot of simple equipment. Well, Nile Red's got everything. He's got it all. You know, but he does a lot of interesting projects. It's fun to watch. Maybe not quite as hilarious as Tom and some of these other channels, but it's fun to watch and you learn a lot from him. I have to say he's gotten a lot into shorts lately, and I have to say I don't really like his shorts. But really, I don't like shorts in general, which is why I don't make that many of them myself. I think that you really have to dumb a subject down to the point of uselessness to try and cram it into a 1 minute or less video. And really, I think that's what Nile Red and a lot of other YouTubers have had to do. We're all YouTube creators are under a lot of pressure from YouTube to put out shorts. But really, I mean, for the subjects that Nile Red covers, shorts I don't think are a good format for him. I think a lot of his shorts are cringeworthy, but his long-form videos, that's a different story. Fantastic, amazing stuff there in his long-form videos. Next up is Nerd Rage. Again, somebody who probably needs no introduction to most of my audience. Learned a lot from Nerd Rage. And he's somewhere between Tom and Nile Red on the, professionalism scale. Okay, he's got some good equipment, but he does a lot of DIY stuff too. A lot of the projects that he does are very approachable for the average person, I think. So he does a lot of inorganic synthesis, which is very useful for the sort of chemistry we do in precious metals recovery. It's all, for the most part, inorganic synthesis. Occasionally, you're using an organic reagent like DMG or oxalic acid or something like that. But usually, you're doing inorganic chemistry when you're doing precious metals recovery. So. Nerd Rage does a lot of that, and there's a lot of good info there. Okay, so getting into the actual gold recovery chemistry YouTubers, first up is 39's Deucin, who I think probably most of my viewers are also familiar with. He has a lot of great videos out there on gold recovery, silver recovery, and he's living in Serbia, and he gets access to a lot of interesting scrap over there in Eastern Europe that I never get to see, and he does really interesting stuff with it, or I should say did, because lately, because of some changes in his life, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do any more gold and silver recovery videos for a while, at least, and he's posting a lot of home improvement videos. But hopefully in the future he'll get back to the gold and silver recovery, because I really like his style, his low-tech, minimal equipment, DIY, cobble-together stuff style. It works good. He does a lot of good work over there, and I hope he can get back to doing this sort of thing again in the future. Another YouTuber from another part of the world, who again I have seen a lot of Altex videos, but I am not certain where this guy is located, okay? Don't know, wouldn't even want to hazard a guess, because, I can't hear an accent. He's got, a computer-generated voiceover for all his videos. I don't know where he's from, and there really aren't a lot of clues in the videos. Could be anywhere. But, again, fairly low-tech, fairly DIY, kind of a disturbing lack of personal protective equipment in a lot of his videos, but he does a lot of interesting stuff, has a lot of great videos out there. I've learned a fair amount from him, and I think if you haven't watched his videos, you probably have. Owltech is probably a well-known name to the most people in my audience, but if you haven't, check him out. Good stuff there. Okay, finally, here we go. This is one everybody knows, Sri Tips. Okay. I've watched quite a few of Sri Tips videos, especially back when I first got started in this, and I didn't quite understand the chemistry of precious metals, so I watched a lot of Sri Tips videos. I figured out pretty early on, though, that I was going to have to develop my own techniques, because Sri Tips is working with, for the most part, jewelry and jeweler's wastes, and he's working with material that's incredibly rich and pure in precious metals as compared to what I'm working with e-waste. My average solution might be, 1% or so of gold, 1% or so of silver, or something like that, with a whole lot of crud mixed in. So, a lot of Sri Tips methods just don't work for me, and vice versa. So I learned the basics, I think, from Sri Tips, but I kind of had to develop a lot of my own methods, because a lot of what he was doing just wasn't working all that well for me when I was dealing with solutions with really low percentages of precious metals and a whole lot of crud in them. If you got a solution that's, very rich in gold, that's a lot easier to deal with. But if you got a solution with very little gold in it, and it's got a lot of copper, and it's got a lot of other stuff in it, you got to handle it a little bit different. But Sri Tips, very good at what he does. Okay, next up is Silver Stole, a fairly new YouTuber, at least new to me, and looking at his subscription numbers, he doesn't look like he's been around that long, But I saw him leaving comments on some of my videos and went to look at his channel just out of curiosity. And he's doing a lot of good work over there, especially with silver, which, hence the name Silver Stall. So yeah, I'm following a lot of what he's doing pretty closely. He's got some methods for taking silver plating off that are interesting, and I may be trying to emulate some of that here in the future with my never-ending series on the silver-plated wire that Justin gave me. I may try some of Silver Stall's methods to see if that works. So yeah, check him out. Help his channel grow. He's doing good stuff over there. Next up is Cody's Lab, another YouTuber who I'm sure needs no introduction to my audience. And really, Cody's Lab could have fit into pretty much any category in this video, any or all of them. The depth and breadth of his video catalog is amazing. I think that I'm a little scatterbrained and go every single direction in the world with stuff. And, I've got 3 different channels to try and categorize all that stuff. Well, Cody just puts it all up on one channel, and somehow it all works. So, yeah, I think no matter what you're into or no matter what you're looking for, I think you'll find some of it at least over at Cody's Lab. So check him out if you haven't already. And then next is Boris Petrov. I'm assuming he's Russian, but I'm not 100% positive. Don't take it personally if you're not, Boris. Sorry. Just from some of the intros to his videos, he calls himself a crazy Russian, that kind of thing. Anyway, he hasn't posted in quite a while, but he had a lot of cool videos on precious metals recovery, and I've watched quite a few of them. And again, they are kind of low-tech, DIY, simple, not a lot of fancy equipment or expensive chemicals type stuff, and good, interesting stuff. And Boris, I don't know where you are, but I wouldn't mind seeing you posting again. I hope you're doing good, and I hope you'll come back to YouTube. So why mining videos and YouTube miners? Well, mining has been one of my main hobbies for pretty much my entire life. Every time I get out west or even into the Appalachians in areas, I'm looking for gold in the creeks. I'm looking at old mines. It's just what I do, okay? There's more than one way to get gold out of stuff. You can get it out of electronics or you can pull it out of the ground. Now, I will admit, getting it out of old electronics is pretty lucrative, especially if you can get the stuff for free. Getting it out of the ground, well, it's a lot of hard work and it's kind of hit or miss, but it's a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah, I follow a lot of mining YouTubers, so let's check out some of those. Okay, the next category here is mining. And, well, there's a lot of miners I follow. 9/11 Mining is the first one. These are a couple of young fellows who up in Canada, British Columbia, Canada, who go out and they map ore deposits. And it's really fascinating to watch them work as they're out there mapping ore deposits. I learn a lot of geology from watching these guys. I probably should have been a geologist. Because I am fascinated by geology, fascinated by rocks. Heck, I've got a whole lapidary channel on YouTube, all dedicated to rocks. So I should have studied geology, maybe instead of electronics in school. But, well, electronics was pretty lucrative. Anyway, I learn a lot from these guys, and I apply it when I'm out in the field, looking for some of the stuff they're looking for now. And I know what to look for because I see what they're finding. So check out 9/11 Mining if you're at all interested in mining or mineral identification and mapping ore deposits. All right, next up in the mining category is Alan Robertson, and I really like this guy. He's down to earth, no nonsense, very DIY, very DIY. He builds almost all his own equipment. Maybe I shouldn't even put the almost in there. I don't see him using a lot of commercially made equipment. This guy has 3D printers and he's not afraid to use them, and he's really good at designing stuff, and he's designed and built a whole lot of great equipment. And I have to admit, I have shamelessly stolen a few of his ideas for use with my own equipment, like the legs I 3D print, or the adjustable legs I 3D printed for one of my sluices. That basically, I just saw what he was doing, said, well, I can whip up a pair of those, so I did. So thank you, Alan, for all the great ideas and stuff you do. Check out his channel if you're at all interested in placer mining. I think you'll find some great tips, techniques, and equipment ideas from him. Next up, well, MBMM, Mount Baker Mining and Metals. Everybody on my channel has probably heard of them. Jason's doing really great stuff over there. I've actually have a series of videos on dealing with some stuff that came from Jason. A friend of mine sent some PC boards over to Jason to have them run through his hammer mills and across his shaker table. And I put out a whole series of videos on trying to extract the values from that stuff, which is not easy. Yeah, Jason's figured that out too. It is not easy to extract the values from the leftovers after you crush up PC boards with a hammer mill and extract the metals on a shaker table. Okay, you've got all the values, all your high-grade values here, but it's quite a mixture of metals that is very difficult to separate again. So we've got to come up with better techniques for doing that in the future for recycling e-waste. But Jason's also one heck of a miner, and I mainly watch his channel for the mining content, and I've learned a lot of smelting technique from him. Basically, watching him learn how to smelt, I have learned how to smelt. So, good going, Jason. Keep up the good work.
So you want to study geology. You've looked at the university syllabus and you've seen that geology is the science that requires the least amount of maths, and that seems like an attractive option. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's look at what makes a good geologist and see if you're a good fit for that.
Next up is a channel called Geology Upskill, and a lot of you have probably never heard of this, but if you're at all interested in geology, especially the geology of ore deposits, I would suggest watching this channel. There are a lot of short videos on it, 4 or 5 minutes, in his Geology Upskill series, and he will talk about an outcropping or a particular mineral or whatnot. He's a geologist who works mainly in Australia but also in South Korea, and he spends a lot of time out in the field, and basically this is all field work, and he's teaching you all this stuff that you're going to see and do in the field, and it's really useful stuff. So check him out if you're at all interested in mapping ore deposits again. That's what he does. Okay, next up, Ask Jeff Williams. Okay, I'm sure this is another guy who is very familiar to my audience. Yeah, Ask Jeff Williams. He's got an interesting, presentation style. It can be funny at times. It can be a little over the top at times. But there's a lot of useful information there too. Besides the comedy and the over the top personality. There's a whole lot of down-to-earth mining, practical mining information that he has there in his videos. So, and also he goes a lot of interesting places and looks at a lot of interesting things. And he goes way down in the mines. So, basically I don't have to. I'd rather stay up on ground level. So, yeah, this is good stuff. So, check him out if you haven't already. Next up is TBR Exploring. This is a channel which, if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's I'm ashamed to say I don't know this guy's name. The fellow who is the main character in all these videos. He doesn't talk a whole lot about himself, so I'm not sure what his name is, but basically, he explores old mines. That's what he does. He and his friends go explore old mines, and they're really good at it. They have all the right equipment. They have all the right skills. They're all the climbing equipment, all the bad air sensing equipment. All the professional camera equipment, and they take everything they need with them to slog through, hip-deep mud and chest-deep water and be underground for days at a time. And it's amazing. And again, I'm fascinated by mining and mines, but I would prefer to stay on the surface because exploring underground in old mines is incredibly dangerous with the bad air, the false floors, rock falls, heck, just getting lost in the dark. I prefer to stay up on the ground where the old timers have already brought all the rocks out for me to see. And if I do go inside, it's generally not very far. And if it looks dangerous, not very far at all. But, these guys, they're doing serious mine exploring, so I don't have to, basically. I can watch them poking around a mile deep in these old mines and get my satisfaction without having to go in myself and keep me safe and out of trouble with the wife. Okay, so yeah, TVR Exploring. Check them out if you haven't seen them. Next up, Hard Rock University. Now this is a channel where you are going to learn a lot if you are at all interested in practical hard rock mining techniques. Tom Bowman, who runs this channel along with his wife, has been a hard rock miner his entire life, and he knows the whole process inside and out, and he's very hands-on, very DIY. He's got some claims up in Montana that he's mining, and he's showing you every step along the way of opening up the old mine again, getting it safe, so he can get in there and start mining the material, getting it out, mucking it out. He's got an ore leach extraction system going, and basically you're seeing everything from him going underground with a jackhammer to try and pull the rock out to gold beads at the end of the refining, and it's all at a very low tech, very approachable, very non money intensive way of doing it. So it's very interesting to me to see him mining gold, in a very low tech manner without spending a whole lot of money. And it's good practical information coming from him. So check out his channel. Next is Two Toes. So I don't know if you've heard of Two Toes. His channel is quite interesting. He does a lot of mining and a lot of metal detecting. He's out in California. I think he overlaps in Nevada. But, he's out in the old California gold country, and he'll be mining, placer mining on the rivers, crevicing. He'll be metal detecting up in the hills. And, again, there's a lot of good practical information that comes from Two Toes' channel. So, check him out if you're at all interested in that sort of thing. And then there's Dan Hurd. And a lot of you have probably heard of Dan Hurd. He has a huge, very popular channel. He's up in Canada. He's a miner up in Canada. And he's also done a lot of stuff with Jason over at MBMM. They've done a lot of collaborations together. So you've probably seen Dan at least a few times. But his channel is really interesting. There's a lot of good practical mining information there. A little bit over the top personality again sometimes, but still entertaining and very educational. So yeah, I highly recommend Dan Hurd. Check him out. So why do I watch so many machining channels, you might be asking yourself? Well, I build a lot of my own equipment, okay? Like my fume hood here. I built that. My Smash-O-Matic ore crusher, I built this, and this actually took some real metal fabrication and machining effort to build too. So tips from the machining channels come in really handy for things like this. My home-built high-capacity rock tumbler, another thing I built. And, I build a lot of stuff that you've probably never seen, or at least rarely see in my videos. I've got a home-built CNC router. I've got some equipment for fabricating telescope mirrors I've built myself, and just a whole plethora of machinery that I have built myself. So I'm very interested in machining. My grandfather was a machinist. I spent a long time, at his side as a kid, watching him fabricate stuff with his lathes and mills and other equipment, and learning at his side. And he let me play with the machinery sometimes. And at various times, at various jobs at work, I have used lathes and mills, though I don't consider myself to be any kind of an expert machinist by far. But machining metal does fascinate me. So, and I learn a lot from these channels. So here's some examples. Okay, so on to the machining category. Now, a lot of you may not be interested in machining. That's fine. That's fine. But whether you're interested in machining or not, you need to watch This Old Tony. This Old Tony. He is one of the funniest men on YouTube. It's hilarious. Even if you have zero interest in machining or what he's doing, I think you'll find his videos very amusing and a great watch. So give him a try. I don't think you'll regret it. He's an amateur machinist, and he's the first to admit it, but he has a very well-equipped shop. A lot of the machinery in his shop he has rebuilt. He's got it as obsolete wrecks and rebuilt it, usually during a series of videos in the process, and each of those videos is hilarious. The man is a natural comedian with a presentation that is unique on YouTube as far as I'm concerned. Although I see other people trying to imitate him, which, the sincerest form of flattery. But I think you'll have a great time watching his videos. They're very funny, and you'll learn a lot. Practical machining by a garage amateur machinist who really knows his stuff. He reminds me a lot of my grandfather, except Grandpa didn't have that kind of sense of humor about him. But he was a garage machinist who really knew his stuff too. So yeah, check out This Old Tony. I don't think you'll regret it. A-Bomb79 is next. And a lot of you may have heard of him. He's got a huge machining channel on YouTube. I learn a lot from him. He's always doing some big project on his channel. And, I've learned a lot. I think I learned the most important thing about machining from him is that with a lot of jobs, the fixturing is like 80 to 90% of the work, before you can even get started on something. And, I learned this from A-Bomb. And, you can learn so much from his channel just watching it. If you're at all interested in machining, metalworking, you'll learn a lot there. Next up, Mr. Pete 222, also known as Tubal Cain. A lot of you watching my channel may not be old enough to have had metal shop in school. They've kind of eliminated that in a lot of schools. Well, I had metal shop, okay? And it's kind of like your favorite metal shop high school teacher is making YouTube videos. And that's what Mr. Pete 222 is. He was a high school metal shop teacher. And he's got a very well-equipped basement workshop. And he's making all kinds of videos, practical videos on, making stuff, fixing stuff, whatnot. He's also a bit of a tool hoarder, which I think he would admit. He's always going to auctions and buying stuff. And he's up to his eyeballs in equipment, and occasionally he sells it off. And, his sales are amazing. But, he has a lot of great videos, so check him out. His style is very high school metal shop teacher, because that's exactly what he was. Next up, AVE. A lot of you have probably heard of AVE, followed his channel maybe. Very funny guy, hilarious, a lot of bad words, a lot of bad language, so if that's a problem for you, be aware. There's a lot of bad language there. But he's a machinist, but a lot of his channel isn't about machining. It's about just fixing this or that, or dealing with this or that problem, or whatnot, in a very practical manner, with a whole lot of ribald comedy thrown in. Okay, so it's good to watch. I mean, you're gonna laugh yourself silly watching his videos, and you're gonna learn something in the process, I think. So check him out if you haven't, if you aren't already aware of him. Next up, Cutting Edge Engineering Australia. Now this is a fairly recent channel that I've started following. I mean, not saying that they're brand new, but I've just started following them. Always, they seem to specialize in repairing very large equipment, like for mining or road construction or stuff like that. They're always rebuilding some big, gigantic piece of equipment. This is work on a scale that I would never attempt myself. But it's fascinating to watch, to see him do it. I learn a lot from it. That how do you fix your something that big? If you have to ream out a cylinder that's 15 feet long or something. It's crazy. So manufacture a new hex nut that's 2 feet across and weighs half a ton. How do you do that? It's interesting to watch. Yeah, scrappers. Well, I consider myself a scrapper. I'm not above dumpster diving if I see something good in there. Picking up stuff along the side of the road on trash day if I see something good. I go and I pick up stuff on my trailer over there from various people when they want to get rid of stuff. Computer equipment like this, cabling, whatnot, big racks of equipment, anything, computers, servers, anything they want to get rid of. Because, it's got gold in it, or at least, if nothing else, it's got a lot of value, like this cable's down here. This is just copper value, basically. So, I watch other scrappers to see, what they're doing, what they consider valuable, what they don't consider valuable, and where they go to get it. That's very useful information if you're at all into scrapping. So, so let's check out a few of the YouTubers I watch in that department. Well, scrapping, final category. Well, I consider myself a scrapper, and I watch other scrappers doing their thing. Not that many, though, strangely. I guess I'm just too busy doing my thing to watch a lot of them. But there are a few. There are a few that I do watch, at least from time to time. E-Waste Ben. He's a good one. I guess he's over in Australia. And, he does a lot of good work with e-waste. Clearly a single man, because my wife would never allow me to let my scrapping hobby take over the whole house and yard like his does. But hey, more power to him. He's making a living at it, and I learn a lot from him, watching him break things down, see what has value, what doesn't. And he alternates between doing scrap pickups from various clients and just doing street scrapping. And he finds a lot of good stuff, and interesting, very interesting. So check out E-Waste Ben, although he's very popular, so a lot of people in my audience probably already know who he is. Next up is Mike the Scavenger. I don't know how popular he is with my audience, but he has a huge YouTube presence in the scrapping area. He is a monster. His channel is anyway. And his style is very funny. I like YouTubers who throw comedy into what they're doing. And Mike keeps it light, he keeps it funny, he keeps the jokes coming and the antics coming while he's doing his thing, whether he's dumpster diving or street scrapping or whatever. It's just always fun to watch. And, I could need to be doing something important and find myself wasting a half hour or an hour watching his videos instead. And it's like, damn, I needed to do something, but I wasted, all this time watching Mike the Scavenger because it's just so good. So check him out. I've learned a lot from Mike about when I'm out, like street scrapping or something, which I will do like on trash day if I need to go run some errands anyway. I'll sort of, run up and down a few extra streets and see if there's anything good there. How he approaches, the issue of people have stuff in their front yard, can he just take it? And how friendly he is with the people, strikes up conversations with them, And, you know, it can often lead to getting something else besides what's already out in the front yard. You know, maybe, oh, have you got anything else that you'd like to get rid of? Anything that maybe you need a little help moving while I'm here? You know, that kind of thing. Um, and, you know, he's got such a great personality. He makes friends instantly with everybody he meets. So, you know, check him out. It's a fantastic channel. Mike the Scavenger.
It works. Dude, no way. Yep. Are you getting rid of all that? Thank you. Right on. Even this little four-wheeler? Thank you, sir. Is that an EV?
Next up is Scrap and Pallet Man. I think he is the first scrapper on YouTube I ever watched. Not sure what led me to his videos, but, you know, I was, you know, kind of getting into this whole scrapping thing and, you know, maybe YouTubing or Googling some stuff, and his videos came up, and before I knew it, I'd watched a few hours of them, and I'd learned a lot from him. And I've seen, you know, over the years, the way his channel has evolved over time, and he's very good at what he does. You know, he's one of those people who I think makes a complete living at scrapping, which I don't do. It's more of a hobby for me. But you can learn a lot from these guys who do it for a living, okay? A lot of practical information there about what's worth taking, what's not worth taking, what you upcycle, and what you just take straight to the scrapyard, and what you don't even touch, you know. So there's a lot of good practical information there between Mike the Scavenger and Scrap and Pallet Man. Check these guys out. If you're at all into scrapping, you'll learn a lot. Well, there you go. Some of my favorite YouTubers. Only some. Not everybody made the list because this video can't be infinitely long. And like I said earlier, they're in no particular order. I like them all. And I hope you guys found somebody new to watch, maybe several somebodies new to watch, and learn some new things from them, because they're all great people doing good stuff out there on the YouTubes. So thanks a lot for the suggestions and the requests to make this video. So here you are. So I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe to see them. Check out my two other channels, Electro Geek 64 and Mike's Lapidarian Fossils, if you haven't already. Check out my channels too. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.